Hey guys, Jill Beitel here. We're about to work on loose leash walking. There's lots of different approaches and lots of different ways to do this and to do it positively. First, want to talk about, actually going to give credit to Pamela Denison and her method of loose leash walking, which is very much works on first teaching heel. So based on teaching heel first, teaching if you know to walk here lovely, and that has value, then loose leash walking should be a cinch, which is often opposite of what we tended to teach our clients for a long time. The first step is simply the name game. So let's get started. So the name game, or a crisp, happy response to their name, is really the first step in so many behaviors, but certainly for this loose leash walking that we'll be working on right now. If I can't help Kyoshi disengage from whatever she's into and check back in with me, connect with me, it's gonna be very hard to teach her and reinforce her for walking at my side in a heel position or keep the leash loose and not over-engage with everything else. So we'll just be practicing that for a little bit. Kyoshi. Yes, good girl. Kyoshi. Yes, good. Okay. Kyoshi. Yes, good girl. Okay, so I'm letting her get re-engaged in something else, just letting her go off, do her normal thing, look at that, deal with that. Kyoshi. And when she re-engages back with me, I reward. I mark it, of course, and reward. Okay. Kyoshi. Yes, good girl. So first part of just teaching that even though we're out, surrounded by all of this, there is great value in getting a connection with, establishing a connection with, and even continuing to be connected with the person. Kyoshi. Did it again. Yes. Okay. Kyoshi. Nice. Okay, so you would work on this in a few different places, a few different situations where she is okay with stopping what she's doing, turning back to you. Of course, when we start talking more about proofing and generalization, we'll talk about how it can't just be in your front yard or just be in your kitchen where you practice this and work on it, but in lots of new and different situations and places. So that she truly understands it and it's not just connected with being in the yard. So the second step in teaching loose leash walking is, after the name game, we now need to kind of encourage the dog to stay with us mentally and physically, even if we're kind of moving around or even if we're backing up or they don't know where we are. So it may look kind of silly, but this is the stupid bunny segment or part that Pamela Denison talks about in her method of loose leash walking, of teaching loose leash walking, where you're kind of being that crazy bunny out in the field that instead of staying still so nobody notices, they're bouncing around and scooting from side to side to where the dog really notices, like, wow, what's that? So that's what we want. We want you to be, or your clients to be for their dogs, that stupid bunny that absolutely gets attention rather than being this boring thing at the end of the leash that never quite gets, it ends up losing attention very quickly. Kyoshi. Yes, good boy. Yes, okay. So I'm just gonna dart side to side, you know, do some kind of crazy unpredictable move. There's no real rule to this. You don't have to go left, right twice or anything like that. Just move around till it's kind of fun and unpredictable. Kyoshi. Yes. Hey, oh, where'd you go? Yeah, good. Okay. So if you mark this, the click happens when Kyoshi disengages from what she's doing and turns back like, oh, hey, lady, I heard you. Okay, that's what I'm going to click. Later, we can delay the click a little bit so that it's like, are you still with me? Rather than turn and then, you know, nothing special and go. So we can do that later. For now, I am clicking when she says, oh, heard my name. Kyoshi. Yes. Kyoshi. Yes. Good boy. Good girl. Good. So I'm just kind of let her get bored or let her get onto something else. Kyoshi. Yes. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. Good. Okay. So looks kind of silly, be silly, have fun with it, dart around, be unpredictable. That's the second step. So loose leash walking, third step in Pamela Denison's version of teaching heel and loose leash walking. This is where we call our dog, it's a little bit of a recall, but we're calling our dog to front. So kind of an old obedience behavior, but calling them in and rewarding them right here, basically between your knees or between your thighs, however big your dog is, right in your personal space, okay? So not out here. What we're teaching them is to be right here. It's okay to be right here. Not only is it okay, I really want you right here, because the heel is gonna be right here. And a lot of dogs are so used to being at the end of the leash, if not further, that this feels a little odd. So I wanna make sure they understand. First of all, the other thing is, dogs love to chase a moving target, right? So I'm gonna move, I'm gonna be exciting, I'm gonna use my voice to encourage her to be, to come right into my space. I am not going to lure. So I just think that that's a step that is unnecessary, because who wants to fade that later if you don't have to? They don't need it. But I will, boom, show that treat the second she gets here, but I'm not going, hey puppy, puppy, and bringing her in. That would be luring with the food. I'm basically just going to lure her in, encourage her in, prompt her in with my movements and my body position, but I'm not going to lure her in with the food, all right? Okay, loose leash walking step 3. What we are going to do is, as I said, going to encourage her to move into my personal, right into my personal space. So right into within a few inches of my body, of my legs, and reward her there. Yoshi, yes. So the food happens right here. She needs to start realizing that this is where the food happens. The back of my hand is on my legs. Okay. And I'm gonna try to avoid, sometimes you can't help it, but I'm gonna try to avoid bringing her in with my hand. I just want my hand with the food to end up right there. Kyoshi, yes, good girl, hurry, hurry, hurry. And I feed here. So I'm using a happy tone of voice. I'm moving, with enough speed to at least get her excited, like, oh, where are you going? I feel like if I just step backward, it may not be as encouraging, but do be careful backing up, obviously, and make sure that you're not racing into something or falling backward. But I do want to have enough enthusiasm with my voice and my movements to encourage her to come toward me rather than the other surrounding distractions. Kyoshi, yes, yes, good girl, hurry, hurry, hurry. Yes, good, okay. Also, if it wasn't 90 degrees and sunny, she probably would be a little more speedy and enthusiastic. We do want enthusiasm. We don't want the dogs like, oh man, I don't want to do this. If that happens, just start over and do little tiny segments with your clients. So show them this, put the dog up, do something else, or do something else and then start this up with the dog again. That kind of goes for almost anything you're teaching. Drilling doesn't usually go over big with too many dogs. Kyoshi, yes, hurry, hurry, hurry. Okay, good job. So, good job. So this is also quite useful and doable if she's way out at the end of the leash. Like she might be over there sniffing like, hey, what's going on over there? Let me go check out these flowers. And I'm gonna do it then too. So I'll let her get occupied. This is probably more likely what you'll see more of. Kyoshi, hurry. Yes. Yes. Good job, boo. So if you mark this, this is one of those things I often, one of the step that I often am not using the clicker. I think it's a tough call for clients, to be honest. In my experience, they've had a tough time keeping track of the dog's on leash, they're supposed to be backing up, their hand is on the clicker, their hand has to access treats, etc. So oftentimes I don't use the clicker for this step. That doesn't mean you shouldn't. If you are using a marker, either the yes or the click, it happens when your dog gets to here, boom, okay? So what I hope in that is to encourage the dog to drive a little, like here, let's be here, because that's where the click actually happens, okay? Step 4, loose leash walking. So after you have a dog who's enthusiastically doing the back up, okay, so remember this is the previous step. Kyoshi, feed here. Then what you're going to do is, instead of feeding at your center line, okay, you're going to lure them into that spot or not encourage them into that spot. But instead of feeding there, you're actually going to turn 180 degrees and then feed them at your side instead. Hence the introduction to the heel position, okay? So she's gonna be used to and kind of expecting to get fed right here between my knees. And instead, I'm just gonna do a little turn, keep her close to my body. That was the reason for having her very close. And I'm going to click when she gets to that position, then I'm going to feed. Now I wanna take a moment to show this because it can be a lot, especially for your clients. It's gonna be easier for you probably. You really have to make the point with your clients of what to do with all this stuff. So I like the dog's leash to be on my arm. Then I don't have to, it's not occupying my hands. I hold the treats that I'm gonna be using in that same right hand, so I'm still on the right arm. If they're a lefty, they might want all this on the other side. The clicker is also here. That's just the way I like to do it. Pretty much everything is responsible that has something to do is on this one arm, which is the other side of where you're gonna be healing your dog. And the reason for that is I want this hand to have one job and one job only, to very clearly, crisply, and in a timely manner feed the dog at the seam of my pants, okay? If I'm trying to fuss with the clicker and it's dangling in her face as I try to deliver a treat, I mean, it's gonna be ugly. So I'll take this out just for a second so I can untangle her, but I really do believe in the value of just looping the leash around your arm. You'll see that in another segment that we're about to do on other handling skills, that if your leash is here and just sort of up against your body, you're gonna be much less likely, and your clients are gonna be much less likely to pop and jerk and pull and try to manage the dog with the leash, okay? So clicker, treats, and leash in the one hand. This is pressed up against, and I call the dog, Kyoshi, yes. And instead of feeding right here, I turn, and as she gets into that heel position, I feed. Doot, 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 doot. Normally I would just be going in a straight line, didn't want to lose you. So I turned, which is a little tougher for them. But note that my hand lives here. I'm not gonna feed her out here. I'm going to doot, 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 get her back at the seam of my pants and feed there, okay? We're gonna do another. I hope Sweet Girl handles the heat for another minute. Kyoshi! So I back up, and then I turn, yes, and I feed here. Doot, doot, doot. And I'm just feeding, yes, hurry babe, hurry! For consistently being or adjusting herself so she gets back to this position. Kyoshi, yes! At the seam of my pants. Bup, 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 bup. Right here, girly girl. Kyoshi, yes. Doot. So I'm building some value to this place, okay, to this place without forcing her to be there. Really, there's nothing that could be any looser about this leash. This is certainly not the reason she's at my left side, and that's something you're really gonna need to impress upon the folks you're working with. You know, forcing her, holding her at your left and feeding her isn't accomplishing anything, or certainly it's not accomplishing near as much as her making the decision to be here because it happens to be a very valuable place, good stuff happens here, etc.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to our channel. Also, check out our website. We actually make courses for people who want to become force-free certified dog trainers. So check that out if you're interested in learning more.